In another video, I talked about the implementation of the command pattern and what the commands actually look like. In this video, I want to talk about how I actually use those commands. So the commands are just classes that carry out specific actions. And in order for them to be useful, they must be able to be used by other parts of the application. So the most obvious place to start is in the views. I have a couple of collection view controllers. The first one here is called the Champion Collection View Controller, and it displays a list of champions. So if I look here, I don't actually create the specific tasks in my classes that need the tasks. Instead, I have this thing called a task factory, and I use dependency injection. So in another video, I'm going to talk about how I use the Typhoon dependency injection library along with tasks. But for now, the tasks are provided to those classes that need them via this task factory. And the task factory has a method on it that just says, give me a task of this type. So if we look real quick at the task factory, just to show that, it says create task with type. A factory is responsible for creating things. So it just says, return me a task of this type, and I pass along a class. So if I look here at the implementation, and I'm going to scroll down here to the view did load, which is a common method you'll implement in your view controllers. The thing I want to focus on down here at the end is the query champions, because this view controller, above all else, is responsible for displaying champions. Well, it must get that data from somewhere, and I store data in a local SQLite database, and I have a method here, query champions, that's responsible for going and getting that data. So this method, if we weed out all the UI stuff that's going on here, like the activity indicators and things like that, here is here is where I ask the task factory to create a new query task for me. Once I get it back, I need to provide a couple of properties specific to this use. A query task is just a general command that allows me to query a database and get back a result set. And I can specify what I want to query using this URI property. So I say I want to query champions, and the projection is the data that I want back. So I just want the champion name column. I want to, if you look at the build projection method here, I want the name column, the image URL, the ID column, and the title column back. So those are the pieces of data that I want back from the query. And then of course I want it sorted in name order because I want my champions to appear in alphabetical order. Here I just run the command. So I get the command, I give it some properties, and I run it. And it runs asynchronously. So I'm going to skip for now all this scaffolding for dealing with things running in the background and then responding on the main thread. So we're going to weed that out for now. What happens is it gives me back a result set, which is called a cursor, and I just process it. So it's very simple. I just ask for the task factory for a task of a specific type. I give it some properties and I use it. As soon as the query is done, I don't retain it. It goes away. It's transient. So this pattern repeats itself throughout the application. So if I take a look here at the skin collection view controller, that's the view controller that displays skin images for a selected champion. So again, view did load, query champion skins. If I go look at that, it's really the same thing. I ask the factory for a query task. I give it some properties. Here I want to query champion skins. I want to tell it what I want back. So in this case, I want the champion skin name, the loading image, which is a specific skin image, and I want also the splash image URL. And then I want to give it a selection. So I want to select or query a specific set of champion skins. And so this is just some syntax for saying I want all of the skins for a specific champion. Because I have over 100 champions. I just want the skins for this champion that I'm looking at, and then I give it a sort. I run the command here, and then I process the results here. So it's very simple. It's the same pattern. Ask the task factory for a task or a command, give it the properties it needs to give me back what I want, and then run it. And then I process the results down here. So, very simple.